How are you? Merry Christmas!
Last week was Christmas, yeah.
Happy New Year.
We're going to have a Happy New Year very soon, yeah.
Yeah, what are you guys doing? You guys popping some champagne?
I'm ordering a pizza. That's my big thing.
Oh, what are you getting? Domino's?
Yeah, I should get Domino's.
Yeah, I love Domino's. Domino's is the best.
It's been so long.
They should sponsor our podcast.
They should. That's who should sponsor our podcast.
They should give us one medium free pizza a week, and then we can battle it out. Who gets it, you or me?
Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's Hey Watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
I'm Tony.
Happy New Year. We're at the New Year, Tony.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, holidays. Happy holidays. We took some time off, you guys, and now we're rested and ready to go.
Mele Kalikimaka.
Mele Kalikimaka. Da, 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 da.
So, yeah, we're starting the new year. This is our going into our third year of this. Is that what it is? It's our third year of this?
That's true, yeah. I don't know how or why, but we're doing it, man. I'll never quit.
No. Don't ever quit, Tony. This week I got to pick, here on Hate Watching with Dan and Tony, we pick a movie each week. We watch the movie, and then we get here to commentate on the movie ad nauseum. Maybe we should change the name of the show to Ad Nauseum.
Is that a name yet? Because that's actually pretty good.
That's actually good. Right there.
You should write that down. I should cut that out of this episode just in case somebody hears it and steals it.
I'm sure it's a podcast for sure.
Well, if it's not, it's going to be soon. I'll tell you that.
So this week I picked the movie Godzilla from 1998. I never saw it. Tony saw it in the theaters because that's what he does.
Well, this was just as a reminder. This was my high school days. So this was midnight movies every week.
And clocking in at 2 hours and 18 minutes.
It's too long.
About 2 hours too long.
I saw about 13 minutes of good stuff in this movie. 2 hours too long. That's extreme.
13 minutes of watchable stuff, not good stuff. There's
I'm sorry. There was one good shot, Dan, that I was like, oh, that's nice. And that was about it, though. Just the one. There was
one tiny bit that I was like, oh, I like this. That's like the rest of the
movie. I can't wait to hear what you liked.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's about 85% into the movie. We got about 85% of the movie. And we got the one tiny bit that I'm like, oh, I like this.
Okay. Well, the part I liked was way before that. So we're different.
So 1998, TriStar Roland Emmercih takes his hand at being Steven Spielberg. Do you want to talk about him trying to be Steven Spielberg for a second?
The only thing that I want to say, and it's hard because I love Roland Emmercih. If you watch this podcast, I'm a big fan. But if you're really good at something, which I do believe he is, sure. I don't want to see you try to do something. And that sounds, because, there's the whole thing, you're going to pigeonhole me. But yeah, a little bit, because you're not good at the other things, it turns out.
No.
So this is your one, your one try at something else that didn't work. So go back to what you're good at. That's what I would say, which I think is wrong. I think that's mean.
What, that's mean for us to tell him to not?
I think it's creatively stifling.
He shouldn't try to copy another director's work.
Well, at least be original when do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to try something else, maybe do it your own way and don't try to emulate something that you don't understand.
So you're saying when you try to steal Steven Spielberg, you should do it your own way, and thus it won't feel like you're trying to steal Steven Spielberg, even though you're only trying to steal Steven Spielberg.
What I'm saying is I'm okay if I know you're trying to do it, as long as you're true to yourself.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't feel like he knows what he's doing, so I don't believe he was true to himself.
I'm going to posit that one of the many things that I hated the most about this was the Spielberg music. I hated it so much.
Oh, interesting. I don't even. What did I watch this? 10 hours ago, I think I wrapped this up, give or take. I don't even remember a single note. I couldn't hum a tune from the whole movie.
It's just that they would go into these scenes and then they'd
swells.
make you, they do all these swells that would make you want to try to make you feel something. And a lot of times it was like triumph when they're in the middle of running away from dinosaurs.
Okay, no,
and you're just like,
you're right.
The tones were just like, I don't, this doesn't make any sense to me.
You're absolutely right. I think I'd made a note of that I was like, why is this music so like upbeat? We've won, but we're midway through the movie and they're not winning for sure.
The biggest up movie is the first false, win. And you're just like, that's a little too big,
Yeah.
You can't go premature. That big. Yeah. So we start with the titles, 1940s Atomic Tests, and we show a bunch of iguanas and one Komodo dragon, which is the clue that this Godzilla is going to be very ugly and very unappealing and very unlike past Godzillas.
That's interesting. Did you pick up on that as it was happening, or is that retrospective once you saw the creature and we're like, oh no?
No, I was like, why are they showing us these iguanas? Yeah. And then when you see Godzilla, you're like, oh, he's not Godzilla, he's an iguana. He's just like
a large, ugly lizard that's not quite anatomically correct. Yeah. That's interesting that you picked up on that just watching it and we're thinking, what? This is weird. This feels out of place. And then it's not out of place. But when I was watching it, I was just like, what's happening? I don't understand. This has nothing to do with the movie. And then it literally is the setup for the entire movie.
Oh,
and I didn't pick up on it.
You didn't realize they were just making a setup for where Godzilla's coming from?
I did not, Dan. I was like, this is weird footage of an atomic bomb. Very scary. Don't know what it has to do with anything.
Where do you think Godzilla came from?
Doesn't he just come from the sea? Isn't he just like comes out of I don't know. I haven't seen the original in a long time.
I mean, the basic idea is that, he's a mutation, right? I mean, I think I don't even remember where they landed, but he's an atomic mutation because he's the threat of the nuclear war world personified, right? So it's like Japan got bombed with atomic bombs, and then to sort of show the sort of lingering sort of nightmarish effect, they made Godzilla, and Godzilla's breath is atomic.
Now, supposed to be atomic. Not in this movie.
We'll talk about it.
Let's not just throw things out here, Dan, and have nothing to do with this movie. Here's what. Oh, sorry. No.
Did you read about his breath in this movie?
No, I was wrong. You're saying it's atomic, and I don't think that I realized that. But I remember him having some sort of Superman-y breath powers. That's what I remember.
In the old movies, his fins on the back would like, and then he'd breathe out, and they would sort of vibe, blue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I just thought that was like bad flames, I think, at the time.
So in two scenes in this movie, he sort of does something, and then his breath sort of turns into fire. And you're like, wait, he's fire breathing or he's not? Don't know. What's happening? And what it was that they didn't want to give him the atomic breath. And so they sort of settled on this thing in between where if he breathed hard on you and there was a flame there, then maybe his breath could kind of light up.
So they're saying that he's full of gas of some sort.
He's full of some gas. And in two random parts of his attacks, that gas gets lit up, but it doesn't really mean anything, and
it's
it
really
just leaves
stupid.
Us all confused.
It's really dumb. I don't, because when he first, we're skipping ahead just a second.
Yeah.
When he screams at Matthew Broderick in the first time they meet, I was like, oh, this dude's dead because his breath is poison or something, and then nothing happened, and I was like, I'm confused, and then later something happens, and then I was more confused. It's not good. It's not good. It's not consistent.
No, it's not consistent. So basically, some iguana eggs get irradiated and outgrows Godzilla, who's, 60 meters tall or something like that.
I don't know if I believe that. I'm just throwing that out there.
It does seem like a big stretch.
Because his worm's not that much smaller than a lizard.
15% bigger. The worms got 15% bigger, I think.
And his worms got just like a little bit bigger. It's not like they're walking around like tremors.
Kill. And I think actually maybe in the very first Godzilla movie, there was like the atomic tests and like an earthquake, and maybe it dislodged him from beneath the sea. I think that might have been the explanation.
See, there you go. Now that's checking out.
So we have a Japanese ship, a fishing ship, where they actually have the cans. They're putting them into the bumblebee cans on the ship.
Which is, I mean, how efficient is that? You know what I mean?
Labels and everything.
We all think there's some big factory somewhere where they're putting all this together. No, sir, this is fresh. This is the freshest tuna you could ever get. It's unbelievable.
The ship also has wheels. It goes right to the grocery store. They unload the cans of tuna. That's how it all works.
Okay, here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
So we have this thing at one point, he's sort of rocking the ship from below. And then at one point, there's like the cook guy and like all these knives fall out and almost kill him. And you're kind of like, this is the cook guy. Doesn't he secure his knives?
He's on a boat, guy. Like there's turbulent seas sometimes. You're not going to have them just able to fall everywhere. You're going to get sued. You're going to get sued so bad.
And then we see the big tail comes up and it hits the bridge. And then we just like cut away. Like,
what, do you needed more? I mean, come on, Dan. That's it. That's the highlight of the day.
I mean, it was just kind of weird. It was just this sort of weird cut that you're just like, oh, I guess we're done with that. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you want me to defend Roland Emmerich's choices in this film, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Oh, Tony. So we cut to Matthew Broderick. He's in Russia. He's studying earthworms at Chernobyl. He's a worm scientist. Does he ever use his worm science to do anything in this movie, Tony?
Not even a little bit. The only thing he does at one point that's science-y is he just figures out, it's pregnant based on blood, which I still don't know if I believe that, but that has nothing to do with worms. Because you're not testing you're not like taking little samples out of worms and be like, well, this worm's pregnant. I don't think that's how worms work.
Usually in these movies, you make the guy that knows something, and then the stupid military doesn't listen. They get pissed off at him for X reason. And then he has to like go, I've made the bomb that kills him. Or, he has to give the piece of information that really does something. He never gives the piece of information that does anything.
But he kind of does. He's like, hey, there's a nest. And they're like, there's no net, which is the way that they do it is wrong. I would argue. I think that they kind of do that because I think they kind of understand what you're saying. Is like, okay, he needs to have some sort of knowledge that they don't have. Yeah. So they give him this, there's a nest. And of course. I don't know. It's weird.
Isn't it interesting that they don't believe him about the nest and then eventually they believe the redheaded woman about the nest?
What? Oh, Dan, careful here.
Well, I'm just saying, this is not how the real 90s. World works, right?
No, it's 1998.
Okay, so there he is. The big helicopter comes, soldiers.
Well, hold on. You're skating over some very important facts here, which is Matthew Broderick has the loudest headphones in the entire world because he is just listening to music, jamming along, and a giant helicopter, Dan, lands 20 feet behind him. Not only does he not hear it because this music is so loud, but somehow he's got a protective bubble that he doesn't feel the wind from a giant helicopter land right behind him. What is happening here? That's not possible.
They're trying to surprise him.
Oh, who are you? Where'd you all come from? 300 men on a giant helicarrier. I'm so confused.
And don't the soldiers all run past him and then fuck with his Jeep for some reason? Why did he even fuck with his Jeep?
Straight ahead, they just go take stuff out of his car for no reason because they're not taking anything. I don't know, man. It's not like he stumbled upon some sort of secret that they're now taking away and making sure it doesn't get out. He's just with worms.
And the one dude is there. He's from the State Department. And you're like,
sure.
Okay.
Which doesn't make sense because aren't they they're in Chernobyl, right? They're in the Ukraine?
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't understand.
And then he's like, you've been reassigned. And he works for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which I don't think the State Department can
control that.
Reassign you. You think that like he'd be like his something from his boss, or
Sure, or like maybe a letter. Maybe a letter from the boss that's like, "Hey, you're being reassigned, buddy boy."
Or a scroll.
Oh, scroll.
Yeah, a scroll. So he's whisked off to Tahiti. Oh no! Now we go to Tahiti. The one survivor, he's irradiated, and then Jean Reno shows up, and he's all like, "What did you see?" And the old guy, and he goes, "Gojira, Gojira."
Dan, yes, that is almost exactly what happened, except for the most important part that I don't understand, which is Gene. I'm gonna call him Gene Reno, by the way. He flicks a lighter on, and then is going back and forth, kind of like how you hypnotize people a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what gets the guy to tell him that he saw Gojira. I don't understand what's happening.
I believe in the very first Godzilla movie, this exact same scene happens, and they use the light to sort of bring him out of it. And so, but he wasn't in a dark room.
It focuses him.
Yeah, but as I remember it, he was probably in a dark room. And then you had the light, as opposed to being in a room with light streaming down.
Totally lit, and the fire does nothing.
The fire's like 2% brighter than everything else that's going on. And
I don't know. I was just very confused.
They make this whole point of him saying Gojira, and you're like, oh, we're going to find out that this happened in Japan in the 50s or the 60s, and then this Godzilla's come back or something, and that's why we're doing Gojira, because he knows who it is.
See, now this falls into the narrative that I thought what was happening, so the beginning of the movie in the credits where they're showing the atomic bombs, I thought that's how they originally killed Godzilla. In the original, I thought they nuked him. I guess I don't remember exactly, but I thought they were kind of showing, oh, we nuked him, but now he's escaped and he's going to a different continent because that one was pretty dangerous. That's what I thought was happening.
Yeah, I thought the Japanese were going to have to come in with some information about Godzilla.
Not the French. Not the French that were like, "Oh, this was our fault." No, and what? Wait, what? What's happening?
Now I'm thinking about that. Why was it the French people's fault?
I have no idea, Dan. I don't understand at all. Except for they hired Gene, and they're like, "Well, he can't be anything but French, so I guess he'll be French."
It was French Polynesia where the bombs went off. I think they said the French dropped the bombs.
Yeah, that's what they said.
I don't think the French had bombs in
nuclear weapons
in the 40s.
I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm not a history buff. I'll tell you that.
And actually, the way they killed the first Godzilla in the very first movie is they had a bomb when he was underwater that sucked all the oxygen out of the water, and so they basically
suffocated
him in water.
That's actually really cool. Yeah. I don't know if that would work, but that's very scary.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works when he breathes air and doesn't breathe
just water.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you don't know how his lungs work, Dan. That's on you.
So then Nick, Matthew Broderick's character's in Panama.
What's his last name, Dan? What's his last name, huh?
Totopoulos or something?
Yeah, that's it. Tippy-Topotopoulos.
Yeah, they
make a joke. They hit that joke so many times in this movie, and it's not funny one single time. It's unbelievable.
It's so not funny. He's the worm guy, and then he's standing in the big footprint. He's like, I don't see it. What do you mean? I don't see it. Everyone's kind of not really reacting to these gigantic footprints.
Nobody cares at all that a dinosaur is clearly on the loose. It's very strange.
And this dinosaur is invisible. Like, it'll destroy towns, destroy everything, and everyone's like, can't look at it, can't.
Dan, I thought for sure he was going to have some sort of chameleon abilities where he can cloak himself, because how does something that big disappear so many times in New York City?
And they never go and follow the footprints, and then they're like, oh, here's where he went in the ocean. Yeah, right. They're always just we're following the footprints, then we cut to another scene,
and then we just stop at some point. What's happening right now? How did Matthew Broderick get into the footprint without realizing he was going into a footprint?
Climbs down, climbs down a little bit. No, didn't get it. And here comes Boom, the redhead from News Radio.
Yes, that's where she's from. Thank you.
Married to Nick Nolte, or relationship with Nick Nolte for 10 years.
God, that must have been tough. I don't feel like he's. I enjoy his work. I don't feel like he's a loving guy at all.
Some serious hard drinking going on, I think, in that situation.
Nick Nolte.
And she literally gets to sort of hit on Matthew Broderick a little bit, and then has nothing else to do.
Yeah. I mean, because it's kind of like the reverse gender roles where she sexualizes him in the workplace. I don't know. I don't know what the point of it is, if I'm being honest. I have no idea.
Big footprint. She's hot for Nico. He's hot for this.
Hot for Nico.
We see in his van at the beginning that he had like some pictures of this old girlfriend, and we're like, oh, well, that's gonna be the girl. Ugh.
Okay, but here's the thing, Dan, because we find out that this has been 8 years. Is that about right?
8 years.
And this dude has still got her pictures up in his van, so he sees her every day. That's a problem, Dan.
More importantly, were they supposed to get married?
He proposed to her. She said no because she went off to New York to be like a big hotshot reporter.
Did she say no, or did she just leave and never talk to him again? That's what she says at one point. Like, he's like,
that is
you left and never talked to me again. Which,
yeah, you're right.
Because she wanted to pursue a career, and then she spent 8 years, and looks like she's 23. She did this when she was 15.
Yeah, because you got to start those reporting careers early. I don't know if you've ever tried to be on the news, but they like young, beautiful people.
So we cut to her. She's a curly-haired blonde with, a lot of moxie.
Is that what you would call it, moxie? Okay, I just call it inability to act.
She's the worst. She's the worst.
She's really bad.
She's so terrible.
And here's what I will say is that I feel almost bad saying that because we did look up her IMDb, and this is pretty much the last thing she ever did.
Rightly so.
I don't disagree, but at the same time, like somehow she got this movie. Somebody saw something. I don't know.
It's baffling. It's like baffling that you would hire someone like this that just is. I mean, I won't say she's anti-charismatic. She's not like the woman in Invincibility or whatever that Marky Mark movie was.
Wasn't that just called Infinite?
Infinite. Because that woman like sucked charisma out of the room.
Yeah. No,
this woman's just like, I'm young and dumb, and you will not care about anything I do. And they're like, no.
Oh, and I didn't. Look at that. It worked out. Thanks for letting me know.
So she's not a charisma bomb, she's not a charisma black hole, but she's just like, man, this is the person you want to carry a love story in the midst of Godzilla?
It's not. If I were to answer that question, it's not.
So she works for Harry Shearer, who's a newscaster, and he wants to have sex with her, and we don't care.
So in this, I don't know if I'm right. Yeah. But this is how I felt. I can only go off of my own feelings.
Yeah.
But having gone from Matthew Broderick's scene where the woman is sexualizing him in the workplace to then go to a very, very, very real situation where her boss is sexualizing her and harassing her in the workplace, it almost diminished it for me because it's like, well, I guess it happens everywhere. Waka, waka, waka. But this is a very bad thing. He is like, well, if you come to dinner tonight, then we have very serious sex. Maybe you'll get on the air. That's bad.
I think, it's terrible, but it's also, you're running the same bit with both characters.
I love that you're worried about the bit. Dan's always about the bit, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
yes, it does ruin the bit 100%, but it also diminishes the man harassing the woman in a workplace, which is, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. It's very strange to me. It's a weird choice on both levels.
Yes, it's not as creepy. It's not as creepy because they're just like, this is the way, it's fine.
This is how every business place is on the earth. Don't worry. You could be in the government. You could be in biology, or you could be a reporter. You're going to get harassed. Just get used to it. That's what it's saying to me.
It's pretty interesting because you bring up a good point is you're setting up this whole world as being cartoonish. And I usually don't say that because I don't think, people are always like, that's a cartoonish comic book movie. And it's like, a lot of comic book movies aren't cartoonish. Some are.
Yeah.
And this whole universe, and that's one of the main problems with this movie is the tone is just like trying to be Spielberg, but also trying to be a little wacky, but also trying to be serious. This thing. Did Spielberg do Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
That's
the
him,
first
right?
one.
Yeah. And that was before this movie, right?
This was years before, because I think Jurassic Park is what, 93? 3. I should look that up. But I think 2, I think The Lost World came out before this movie too. I think 1 and 2 came out before this.
And if you just think about that movie versus this movie, you're just like, this movie is so terrible because it's on really every metric, it's just 1,000 miles behind that movie. And
I would imagine they had so much more money on this film than they did on Jurassic Park. I don't know. I can't confirm.
I think they had whatever money they needed for Jurassic Park.
I'm not saying that Jurassic Park had a shoestring budget. I'm just saying I think the budget was far superior, and I also think technology had advanced. It should not have been this much worse than a movie that came out half a decade earlier.
Exactly. This movie did not learn any lessons from that movie and actually looked at that movie and then made all these mistakes.
All of the wrong choices. They learned all the wrong lessons.
So now he goes to Jamaica. So he was in Panama. So we've done Tahiti, Panama, Jamaica. And
I wasn't following this at all. I'm glad that you're following the map because I didn't read any of the lower third Chiron. I stopped reading those altogether because I was like, I don't care where you are. Get to the United States. I know that's where you're going.
And that's another thing why this movie's really stupid is the chain of motion just doesn't make any sense. That we're doing Tahiti to Panama to Jamaica. That's not a line. I mean,
is it not? I honestly don't even know what a map looks like.
Not really. It's sort of ping-ponging around.
Sure.
And then we end up in New York City. And you're just like, no, this should not. If this ended up in Florida, I'd be like, okay, got it. Thumbs up. Cool.
We're on. Also, that would be a great movie. I love Florida.
Yeah.
In movies. I don't like going to Florida.
No.
Because it's gross.
And then, boom, there's the ship with, it just looks so fake. Oh, God, it looks so fake. On a TV, on a tiny computer screen, you're just like, oh.
You should have seen it on the 70-inch TV I watched it on. It looks terrible.
And there's Jean Reno again, and he's all like, I am an insurance investigator. I am investigating insurance. And you're just like, okay, he's up to something.
Of course he's up to something. I have a serious question. And obviously this movie's not serious.
Yeah.
But if you are on lockdown, you're the military, are you going to let an insurance claim guy come in? There's no way. It's locked down. There's no way someone's getting in without a badge.
Oh, no, there's tons of random people just wandering around.
Yeah. I agree with that sentence. I'm just saying there's no way that would happen. That would be quarantined off. They would have armed military guards all over the place. Because those people would just take pictures and be like, hey, look, there's a monster on the loose. None of this makes any sense.
We do a whole thing where we're on the eastern seaboard now. So we've gone from Jamaica to the eastern seaboard. This is the motion. Like, what?
This is the motion. Why is the United States government at each of these sites?
No clue.
Why aren't there other governments at these sites?
No clue.
Why are we the only government agency in the world visiting other countries and looking at their monsters?
How are we in charge of all of their bullshit? I have no idea.
I don't...
So up on the eastern seaboard, 3 fishing trawlers get dragged into the sea by Godzilla. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, boom. Matthew Broderick's doing science on an airplane, and then he figures out that this is a new creature, the first of its kind. The first. Yeah,
whatever. He doesn't deliver that with the aplomb that I would have liked him to.
It doesn't seem very sciencey. Seems like a guy that's going to science school, not the science guy.
Going to science school. He's on his 3rd trimester of science school, and he's ready to go.
So now we go back to New York City. We see the stupid girl, her stupid friend, and Hank Azaria. We had a whole Simpsons cast reunion.
So is one of the people the lady that plays Bart Simpson in this movie?
No, just Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's Yardley Smith.
I don't know who that is.
It's a woman that plays Bart.
I know it's a woman. That much I know. That's it. That's as far as I get.
And she has I talk like this. Her voice is, she's not doing it. I mean, she's doing a voice, but she's not doing that much of a voice.
Oh, that's wild.
Hank Azaria is a cameraman for the news station. His name is Animal.
That can't be his real name. Do we ever get a real name? I can't remember. I feel like we do. Okay.
We do get a real name, but his nickname is Animal, so I'm going to refer to him as Animal for the rest of this review.
And do they say why? Because I don't get animal vibes from him.
Well, because he'll do what it takes to get the shot.
That doesn't...
He's an animal. I'm an animal. Maybe it's how he eats.
He'll do what it takes to get a shot like all animals? That doesn't even make sense. You're fired.
And then she sees Nick on TV, and she's all like, Nick.
Do you remember what she calls him?
No.
That was my college sweetie. Nobody says that. Those are not words that come out of people's mouths that aren't 84 years old. She's 5 years out of college. Well, I guess 8 technically, they say. You think she's going to say that's my college sweetie? No.
And I mean, if she really like abandoned him without a call and she's like pining for him, it's like
this is the wrong reaction.
Yeah, there's a whole complex set of emotions that would be involved in all of those things. And
maybe they tried to get it out of her and they were like, you know what, this is the best we're going to get. Let's just move on. We've been on this scene for 3 hours. It's one line.
Then we have the old guy fishing in the East River in the rain.
Okay, this is it, Dan. This is my favorite part of the movie.
He's like, and then here comes Godzilla. Boom, boom, boom. Here comes Godzilla. He gets up, starts running away. The pier starts going. And then we cut away. We don't see him die. We don't know what happens to him. We don't know. I mean, he has to die, but
he definitely dies, and nobody wants to see an old man die. But Dan, this is my favorite scene. I want to see the
old man die. I want to see him death.
If you were doing this movie correctly, yes, he does, because you have to feel the stakes of this monster. Because as it stands right now, I'm on Team Godzilla. We are the worst part of this movie. Humans are the problem. Yada yada yada. Let me tell you why this is my favorite scene, Dan. This was the first laugh I had in the whole movie, is when the old man is fishing and he's got his old... Are they homeless? I don't even know.
Two weird guys yelling at him.
Two weird guys watching.
Fish today. It's raining.
And then he's like, well, I got a bite. And then it's strong because it's Godzilla. And he's like, oh, do I have a bite?
No, more importantly, he catches Godzilla and then the line goes out.
Out. Yes.
Wait, Godzilla swimming towards him. Away. Godzilla coming towards him. Somehow the line is going out. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But the best part of this scene is when I do like the shot of the water coming as he's standing on the pier. That's a great shot. That's my favorite shot of the movie. It lasts about 4 seconds. But as he's running away, they do cuts between him close up, so you know it's the old man, and he's running like he's 80 years old. He's running. Oh, I'm trying to run. But then they cut away to the wide shot. And it's clearly a guy in his 20s just booking it down a fucking bridge because he's running so differently. And they keep cutting back and forth. It's like action star, old man, action star, old man. I was laughing so hard during this scene. It was unbelievable.
So Godzilla's there and he eats a truck. More people like Godzilla is literally booming down there. Everything's shaking, and then there's some people that are just like eating their lunch, don't even notice anything's happening.
This is the second moment where headphones almost kill a guy because there's a guy in his truck on headphones. Godzilla's in front of him. It's not even behind him this time. These headphones are so good that he doesn't notice something in front of him, and he is taken by surprise when his car starts moving.
Oh no, it's his truck.
It's his
truck. And there's this really weird shot where he's all like from the cabin and he's going like this. And then the door opens and he like falls out of the truck.
Yep, 100%.
So weird.
And he's surprised. He's shocked by that. He doesn't know what's going on. It's so weird. The choices they make in this movie are bizarre.
At one point in another scene, Godzilla like walks by the news building, and Harry Shearer's character unable to feel the booming or react and think it's like dinosaur, and he's like, it can't be a dinosaur. I'm not looking in a direction because
no, he doesn't look out the window for a single second as everyone else's jaws are on the floor looking out the window. Yep.
Because that's the thing about major effects is they're major effects. There's a noise, there's shaking, there's rattling. When the earthquake happens, you don't go like, I have my headphones on. I just didn't even notice the earthquake.
Not even a little bit. Oh, speaking of that, Dan, we didn't even talk about the line in the bar with her friends when the floor starts shaking and the friend goes, "Oh, don't tell me this is another parade." The fuck are you talking about? A parade shaking the entire bar? The lights are shaking. What kind of a parade does that, Dan?
And this movie's always looking for an excuse for the characters not to react to what's happening right in front of them. Like that's what it's about. It's not, you want to have people looking up there losing their shit over Godzilla, not like, I 100%. Missed it because the movie doesn't want to show it to us, so we can't see it in real life.
It's so dumb. It was a bad movie,
oh my
Dan.
God. So let's see. Oh, Animal runs out there, puts a tape in his camera, shoots Godzilla, and we think he's going to get stepped on, but it goes right between the toes.
Right in his toes.
And then for some reason, when he does the tape, it goes, and it kind of like Godzilla disrupts the tape, and you're like, oh, is this why no one can see Godzilla? Because he's like radioactive and emitting something.
No, it doesn't matter. It seems like he just put in the tape wrong, maybe. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe Hank Azaria is not so good with his camera.
Okay.
I have a quick question, though, because he's how heavy do you think Godzilla is? Like 30 tons, 60 tons? A lot, right?
A whole fucking lot.
He's a heavy guy. Now, if the foot where all of the weight of a creature is comes down inches from your body, are you not going to move at all?
You're going to die.
Right, I would think that something would happen.
There are so many things like that are just so stupid. But the thing I want to talk about is Godzilla's dick.
Wait. First of all, I can't tell you how excited I am that you're bringing this up and not me. But also, what about it? Let's talk about it. Let's get in depth about it.
I don't know anything about lizards and their anatomies, but
you had a weird childhood if you don't.
This movie, like the first 10 shots of Godzilla are his crotch.
You're right about that, but there's nothing there.
And maybe there's nothing there. Maybe a lizard, it's not there and then it is there, it shoots it out, whatever, who knows.
Shoots it out.
They just spend so much time focusing on Godzilla's crotch. You're just like, come on, guys. Do we have to spend, because they don't want to show his face. They don't want to show the whole Godzilla because it's going to be a letdown. And you're like,
first of all, I don't think that's why they're doing it, Dan. I think they're doing it because they want to wait for the reveal, the big reveal.
And we don't even really have a big reveal, do we?
No, I don't believe that that's the case. I don't remember it if it is in there. I don't know.
Yeah, so we just spend lots of time on his crotch until we don't, and then we just see Godzilla, and we're like, okay, huh?
Like, this is what it looks like. Let's go.
Okay, so they go to New Jersey. All the military goes to New Jersey because Godzilla has set up camp in New York City. They evacuate New York City.
That's an incredible feat, first of all. Like that's so. How do they get that many people down the bridge? Don't you have to go on a bridge? I don't know anything about New York.
I believe there's 7 bridges. I believe there's a movie called 7 Bridges that stars one of those guys, like the Black Panther guy or the guy that played the anti-Black Panther. One of those guys.
Well, there you go. But first of all, not everybody left. You can't be sure everybody left. There's a lot of lights on in all of these buildings all over the town.
We're 5 minutes into this. Evacuating New York City would take like a week.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's no way that this happens. So people are dying, and we don't know about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about that too in a second. And then, of course, Godzilla does his disappearing act. Now, I don't know where he went.
And nobody seems to find it that weird that someone that's as tall as some of the buildings and is giant and just walking around the city, do you lose him? How do you lose? How do you physically lose him?
And that's the whole thing is, if you know where he is at one point, you're going to be able to track him forward and backwards, and you're going to find the end 100%. Point of the thing.
At some point, they're like, he went underground. How did he get underground? He has to burrow through things to get there.
He burrowed down into that one subway station, yeah.
So wouldn't you find those holes on the street somewhere? I don't understand. Or a hole in a building. I don't know. There's holes everywhere. You should be able to find a giant lizard.
Because he just burrowed in one time, so you should see crushed car, giant hole in ground.
Giant hole. I guess that's probably where he went.
Pretty straightforward.
Ridiculous.
And then we have the mayor who's always eating Hershey's Kisses, which I assume was him.
Must be product placement. Know.
And then at one point, Matthew Broderick's character buys a little Kodak one-use camera and then documents everything. So I have to imagine that was also product placement because it was so weird.
Sure. For sure. Weird. I was hoping we were going to have like a Hangover moment where at the end we get to see just the pictures that he took. I thought that would be funny.
That would be very funny.
Guess not.
Then like the mayor's like in a copter eating Hershey's Kisses and they're talking about evacuating the city, and then they have a shot of the bridge and there are cars moving at a normal rate in both directions.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense because who's coming in? Who's coming into the island, Dan? It's locked. We're on lockdown. Everyone's got to be going out.
There's one thing you can do. That's stop people from coming in to the city. Getting them all out the bridge is one thing.
It's very difficult, but just put up one barrier on the bridge and be like, sorry, folks, turn around.
You're not allowed. Jean Reno plants a bug on the mayor. So we're like, oh, they're working out of a UPS truck and they're tracking the Americans because they can't work with the Americans.
I don't understand. I don't understand any of it. I don't know why no other governments are involved. I don't understand anything in this movie.
Neither do I. So then they're like, they figure out he's in the subways. So they figure that, just assume it. And then seal the tunnels. And then Matthew Broderick comes up with his big idea. The best way to catch an animal is to draw him out. Okay.
Now, I believe he tried to bring that back to the worms, didn't he? Didn't he say something about worms? I don't remember.
Yeah,
now.
Because he stuck those electric probes into the ground and that drew the worms out. Because they were drawing.
But is that the same as using food for bait?
No, yeah, sort of.
Okay. I mean, listen, I'll trust you on that. I don't know anything about worms and electric currents, but it feels different. Whatever you say, boss.
So here comes the big convoy in the city. How many trucks was in that giant convoy?
I don't remember there being that many.
No, there were 12.
12, okay.
How many snowplows do you think there are in New York City, Tony?
Well, I can't tell you about New York City, but I can tell you about Minneapolis.
Tell me about how many snowplows there are in Minneapolis.
It's a ton.
Is it more than 12?
So many. There's if you go, there's a lot somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but it's just full of snowplows. And when you go there on like a night that it's snowing, they're just piling out. I would say minimum 50. For sure.
2,300 snowplows in New York City.
Okay, so obviously 50 is just one base for me because there's no way that's right. So there's a ton.
So 12 dump trucks is literally nothing. And so they're making a pile of fish to try and draw him out with these fish because they figure that's why he's come to New York City because that's the place
he wants
to
fish. Which just doesn't make any sense. There's fish all over the place.
Now, Tony, what it is he's come there to plant his eggs, which... Wouldn't you start referring to Godzilla as a her if he's planting eggs?
They refuse. They say him every time, and they're like, well, he produces asexually. Why do you even think it's a he? Like, where's the evidence to say it's a he? I mean, there isn't any.
And wouldn't that be like this great joke or setup is, in Aliens, when you found out that the big alien was the queen, it meant something, it meant these are her babies. She's protecting her babies, but they're just like, this Godzilla is a man. And it doesn't make any sense.
Pregnant, sir. But yes, he is. He is pregnant. Don't worry about it. It's still a man. It's very strange to me.
And, now you might do a sort of gender thing where you're like, oh, he's got male chromosomes, but he's pregnant. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. But in this thing, the demand that he stay male doesn't make any sense.
Especially because he doesn't have a package. Dan's already said it. There's no visual evidence.
Oh my God.
On this body.
But then what's the opposite of that? You're looking up at Godzilla's. I guess, so he produces asexual. So the things. Okay, let's think about this. We know that iguanas have sexual organs. Do his sexual organs just atrophy and fall off since he is asexual?
They're somewhere in the Philippines now on his way over. Just you can find them.
We found this. We're going to talk about it. So my point is, they act like 12 dump trucks is a lot of dump trucks. It's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's
nothing.
Not very many at all. That's almost less dump trucks than there is gold in Die Hard. If you remember that scene.
People love driving dump trucks around
New York City because they blend right in, right?
So Nico's like there and he's all like, "Oh, my plan is not working. My plan's not working." He's like, "Oh, here it is. Open the manhole covers." So they run out there and he runs out there and opens one himself. And you're just like, you have 1,000 soldiers. Just let the soldiers do it.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, Dan. One, he's not able to communicate with anyone. He doesn't seem to have a walkie. He doesn't seem to have anything. But moreover, he doesn't seem to have anyone protecting him. No. He's able to pretty much run around and do whatever he wants. He runs into the danger zone to open a manhole. And no one's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go into the quarantine zone where the monster's going to be. It's very strange.
So he runs out there, and then boom, here comes Godzilla, breathes the bad breath on him, and then everybody
does nothing.
And everybody's like, nobody's shooting, and then we have this sweeping Spielberg music come up right now.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know who thought that this was a moment that we needed it, because nothing's happening.
And then they're like, we need bigger guns. Then they decide to fire anyways. And then they blow up the Flatiron building. He breathes some fire. And then we get the big helicopter chase, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, we got to take a beat before we get there. So
what was their plan? Their plan was to lure him out to not do anything, to like just look at him.
What I'm saying.
There should be like a special gun. There should be something, like 12 tanks. There should be something.
Well, still 12 though, huh?
Yeah,
like
that's all they got.
It's the most vehicles we have of one thing. We got 12. What do we want? There is no plan. They're just like, well, let's draw them out. Full stop. That's the end of the plan. There was no next step of how do we capture it? Do we kill it? What are we going to do? But now let's take a minute and talk about O'Neill.
Who's O'Neill?
And O'Neill is the army guy who's the one that says we're going to need bigger guns. He's kind of like the main grunt guy that we see a lot.
He's from Melrose Place, I guess. Doug somebody.
That makes perfect sense because he doesn't belong on the battlefield.
He's so weird.
He's such a weird. He's not a soldier at all. Not that soldiers can't be scared. Let me be clear on that. But every time he takes an order, he's like stammering and he's scared. He's like, well, why would we do that, sir? Just do the order, guy. You get an order, you say, yes, sir, yes, sir, I'm going to go do it. That's it. That's how you learn to be in the military. This guy's questioning everything, and he's always like, I can't believe we're going to do that. Get out of here. Go home.
He was such a bad character, I took no notes on him. I literally, one tiny scene, I put his thing he did because it was sort of a thing. I just chose not to write notes about him because he was so nothing.
So you didn't write a note about the end of the movie where his general gives him validation and then there's another music swell as if like this is all the guy wanted was some fatherly. It was so weird because he's like, good job, O'Neill. And O'Neill's like, I can't believe you said that, sir. And it's a big moment in the film. It's unbelievable.
If you just said to me, Dan, is there a character in this movie called O'Neill? I'd be like, no. There's not.
No, I don't believe there is.
You're wrong, Tony.
He's the only character's name I remember.
There is one character whose name I wrote down right at the end because I'm like, that's his name. We finally said his name.
We finally said it. You surprise us later with it.
So basically they have no plan. Godzilla runs around and he can go 1,000 miles an hour. 1,000 miles an hour.
Through the city. It's incredible.
A tiny amount of fish.
Yeah. His fuel is running low, but he is quick.
Tony, how many helicopters did they send to end Godzilla?
It's more than 12. I think it's more than the trucks.
No,
how many?
It's like 3 or 4.
No, is this the first one? Because then there must
First
be a second one. Because there's one where there's there's like 15 helicopters all in there shooting at each other.
Oh, stop!
It's very strange.
We'll talk about those stupid helicopters in an hour.
All right, got it.
3 helicopters.
So this is the first one. Okay.
Godzilla's just jumping and eating them, and they're chasing him, and then he's chasing them. It's just it's so boring.
And they're shooting missiles into buildings and blowing things up because. Is this the moment where they realize that he's cold-blooded for the first time?
Because they can't heat-seeking missiles don't work on him.
They can't get a heat-seeking missile hit because the buildings are hotter than him. Okay, but we know he's cold-blooded. He's a lizard. Like that's Matthew Broderick's first thing would be like, oh, by the way, that's a cold-blooded thing there. You probably should not use a heat-seeking missile.
Well, more importantly, it's not like he's made of ice cold-blooded, right? You still have a heat signature, even if you're cold-blooded, right?
You would think so.
It's not like you're colder than the whole environment, so you disappear.
This is a hot New York night, Dan. Okay, you don't know.
No, it's raining constantly. There is no heat in this movie.
It's steam rain. It's so hot that it's condensating everywhere. You're wrong.
Nico takes samples, and then they're all like, "We didn't do anything," and Nico's like, "Yeah, but we fed him." Like, wait, you fucked up. And he's taking credit for a fuck up is what he's doing. It's like, you fed him, you dipshit.
Matthew Broderick has a couple of really weird, like, dismissive lines. We'll talk about the one at the end later. But it's just so bizarre. It's like, we did all this and he did nothing. And they're like, well, no, we fed him. But here's the thing. There's 2 things I have wrong with that. One, Godzilla didn't do all that destruction. We did the destruction. So not only did we feed him, we also blew up half of New York by ourselves.
We drew him in there. We invited him out. So
we did all. This is all our fault. And they're like, well, Godzilla did all of this. Shame on him. No.
I mean, it is kind of like the new Superman movie where Superman like stays in the city and fights Zod, destroys the whole city. It's like
destroys the whole city.
Maybe take it somewhere else.
And he would because he's Superman. Yeah.
Maybe try and lure Godzilla out of the city with all these fish.
No. I wouldn't worry about it.
One truck of fish, one truck of fish, one truck of fish, one truck of fish.
Like, I'll follow these breadcrumbs. No.
Maybe that's an idea.
No, it's a dumb idea, Dan.
So Stupid Girl tracks down Nico while he's buying trinkets. That's what I wrote down. Whenever I talked to her about her, I just wrote Stupid Girl.
Oh, no.
And it's not because we're sexist. It's because
she's so bad and her character is so dumb.
And I only call Matthew Broderick's character Nico because he's an idiot. So they talk about their history, and then they're like, why don't you come back to my tent and have some tea? And they go back to his tent, and he used to be a fighting against nuclear stuff. Now he works at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission because he can. And he says a line that makes no sense because I can make a difference. Yeah. Every civil servant in the world knows, because he's probably been working there for 8 years, that you make no difference as a civil servant. All you do is you enact the policies of the shittier people up above you that put down shitty policies.
Wow, Dan, we're getting political right now. Oh boy, guys, strap in.
So she pumps him for info. He gives her all the info.
So, yeah, you say she pumps. She's just having a conversation, and he's willfully giving away every single military secret that he has been involved in for the last 48 hours.
He's like, lizard lay up to 12 eggs. Like, okay.
Maybe that's true. I don't know, but they were way off.
So then he's like, oh, I got to go do something, like take a poop. And she's all like, I'll stay here and steal everything. And then she steals everything.
But hold on. What does she take, Dan?
A videotape. And
what is the videotape labeled? This was my second laugh of the movie.
Nick's secret stash? What is his name?
It is labeled Top Secret.
It is this tape. Someone has written in Sharpie on it Top Secret. I don't remember that. It's so good.
Top Secret, and just sitting on a shelf. And I was like, listen, if I was in someone's tent and there was a videotape labeled Top Secret, I am also taking it. Without a doubt, that is the only thing I will take. I don't even like to steal, but if there's something labeled Top Secret and it's just sitting there, I'm going to take it.
And it's not like there's guards on the tent or anything. No. It's not like this area is like seems like it's under control by anyone. It seems like anybody could wander in there at any time.
There's no control over the situation whatsoever. It's unbelievable.
So they're searching underground. And I wrote Baby Godzilla. Do you know the real Baby Godzilla? Minya?
This feels like a trick question. What do you mean the real Baby Godzilla?
Okay, we'll talk about Godzilla for a minute.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Like Godzilla movies, they started out as sort of serious science fiction. And at a certain point, they became kids' movies, right?
Sure.
And so Godzilla actually became the good guy in the movies. And
I remember.
He'd fight the bad guys, like Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah.
Mothra.
Fight Mothra. Although Mothra moved into the good category too.
Oh, what good for Mothra? Yeah. Oh boy.
It's just little twins live on the island and saying, so much good stuff.
Oh, that's adorable.
But they're like this tall. And then they get stolen. It's so good. They find the Mothra movie. They go to this thing where like these tribal guys live, and they worship these two little women that are like
that big,
10 inches tall. And so they steal the women, and then they take them back to like Tokyo, and then they make them perform in nightclubs.
Wait, what?
So good. And then Mothra finally comes to like bring the little girls back because they're like her chief priestesses of the Mothra cult.
I got to see this movie. This sounds incredible.
You couldn't handle it because it's old.
Yeah, it's old and it's tough. It's tough.
So, what are we talking about? I don't even know what we're talking about.
I have no idea at this point. But I love. Baby Godzilla, the OG baby.
So, as the kids became more and more kids movies, Godzilla had a baby, and he was Baby Godzilla. He's called Minya, and he's like this little one with a little round head, and he like goes, instead of breathing fire, he goes and a little circle comes out. Boop, 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 boop.
I mean, that's adorable.
He's so great. I love him so much. And then there was this one movie where Godzilla doesn't appear in it. He only appears in it as this kid's fantasy. And the kid has to fight gangsters. And he summons the courage of Baby Godzilla to fight the gangsters.
What are you talking about, Dan? That's the craziest thing I've ever
good.
heard.
It's so fucking good. Yeah, so...
I mean, these are great movies.
So I'm like...
Not this movie.
So I'm like, man, they're going to do... But Baby Godzillas are going to be fucking garbage. And they were garbage.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're basically like shitty raptors. That's pretty much what they are.
So... Stupid girl gives the tape to her boss. They put it on TV. Nico's in a meeting... And the tape, the newscast comes up, and they shut down the whole meeting to turn up the TV. Like this is going to happen in their meeting. They're going to be all watching TV while they're having a meeting. And then they're all like, "Bad Nico, you gave away the secret tape." And he's all like,
yeah, I mean, why does he have a top secret tape to begin with? It's top secret, says it right on it, guys. That's something you just show and then you take back. That's how you handle top secret.
You don't give an idiot a top secret tape.
Or someone who's not even in the military. He doesn't have the clearance for top secret.
Absolutely not. So they fire him. The news radio girl's like, "I'm so sorry." And then he's like, "Just promise me you'll get that nest."
And then she's basically like, "I can't make any promises. See you later."
Now, I don't understand this. I wrote this. "Are you leaving because of me? You were supposed to be my friend." Tells her sad story of sucking. Music. Good luck with your new career.
Okay.
This is the woman and him talking.
Sad story of sucking.
Or of not sucking, as the case may be. Boop.
Hey. So before we got to talk about how she finds him. So she's in a phone booth and she's calling him. She says, hey Nick, it's me. Blah blah blah. And then she looks out the phone booth and there he is packing a car just across the street. Well, what are you talking about? How is that possible? And then that's right outside the bar that all her friends are at. So all of this is happening in a 1-block radius. How is this possible? How is he here and why? So stupid.
So yeah, so they make up to swelling music, sort of,
For
kind of,
no
but they
reason.
don't really make up because then
Nor should they, because she stole top secret information.
More importantly, she walks away from him.
Yep, that is
And
correct.
you're like, wait,
again,
isn't the move supposed to be? Well, I guess it's her pattern of stupid character, but
that's right.
The movie pattern is supposed to be he should be like, I don't trust you anymore. How can I trust you?
Nor should he, because she stole the top secret tape. It's the most important tape in his room.
The Frenchies kidnapped Nick, but they didn't really kidnap Nick. They've taken Nick to their secret hideout, and they're like, we're going to help you because we're Frenchies, and the French did the bomb, so we're going to help you go fight them.
They're cleaning up their mistake. I don't understand anything.
Somehow Animal has followed them and seen this and looked out the window and then also heard that the place they're going is a certain place, so everybody goes to the same place, except they're like 30 meters behind them, so they never see them or hear them.
And below them at one point, which I mean, I don't understand the physics of, or the actual spatials of New York City, but it's very confusing.
Oh my God, there's 2 more pages of this movie. Okay. Okay, so Godzilla jumps in the river. They shoot him with torpedoes. They think he's dead.
So how much bigger are torpedoes than the other rockets that they've already shot him with?
Well, when they eventually kill Godzilla, it's just like a couple of F-16s. So so you should be able to kill him with 2 torpedoes, but instead he burrows into the side of the river and then escapes them.
So more importantly, I think in this scene though, Dan, is that we shoot down our own submarine at some point.
No, the things are too slow. Oh no, he's too fast, and he swims around and brings the torpedoes back to our own ships.
So yeah, we shoot down our own submarine.
Well, I mean, it's Godzilla's fault.
Is it Godzilla's fault? It sounds pretty stupid
because he's so fast. The technology on all of this is a bit iffy. I seriously doubt that. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know enough about it. So boom, they're in Madison Square Garden. That's where the nest is. There's all these eggs. They have bombs, but they don't have enough bombs.
There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Hundreds of eggs. How is this possible? Let's see the precedence for this, Mr. Writer. Not you, Dan, the guy that wrote this movie. I would like to see the precedence where all of a sudden a lizard can have hundreds of eggs. I don't believe it exists. But more importantly, Dan, Matthew Broderick walks in to Madison Square Garden. He sees 3 eggs in front of him, and he goes, 3 eggs. And then he was like, this is what he says. He says, 3 eggs. I thought there'd be more. And then there's a guy just to his right, about 10 feet, and he's like, you'd be right. And then it zooms out, and there's hundreds of eggs. Why does Matthew Broderick only see 3 eggs? Why is he only looking right in front of him? If he just looks 1 inch to the left or right, he sees a dozen more eggs.
That's kind of how perception works. What it is you see what you want to see, right? So since he was expecting there to be, between 3 and 12, his mind edited all that out of the reality.
It just deleted 200 other eggs. Okay, well, he's got mental problems then, because that's bad. He's going to walk into something and not know what's going on. He's going to get himself hurt.
So they're all like, uh-oh. And then all the eggs start hatching, hatch, and we start playing Spielberg music for the hatching of the eggs. Like, it's fun.
Yep. Like it's beautiful, like a beautiful moment. I got nothing.
So all of our guys go in different directions and then are able to lock doors to keep them in the center of Madison Square Garden. Okay.
I guess, yeah.
And then back outside, everybody wants back in the city since Godzilla is killed, even though no one has told them Godzilla is killed.
It doesn't, because we didn't televise that as far as I know, right? So it just feels like New Yorkers are like, well, just let me back home. I don't care that there's a giant lizard. I thought it was something different. I want to go home.
And we haven't even set out a time frame for anything. Right?
That's true. It seems like it's all in one night, doesn't it?
Yeah, within hours, yes.
Yeah, once we get to New York, this all happens in real time, Dan.
In truth, everybody's sitting on the bridge trying to get out of New York before they could try to get, and they refer to them as refugees.
Yes, a couple times. I got nothing.
It's not refugees.
How long? Well, how long have they been outside? Maybe they've been outside for 2 weeks. Who knows?
Then they can be refugees. They are not. It's ours. And then we have hide and seek in Madison Square Garden, where everybody runs around and the dinosaurs are not able to kill them if they're the heroine or the heroes. If they're not the heroes, then they get killed.
Yeah, they're the red shirts.
Never once does anyone shoot one of these dinosaurs.
At a dinosaur.
No one.
Well, you're right about that.
At one point, the guy's like has his gun, and I think maybe shoots through the door, and then the doors burst open, and there they are. And you know what he does with his gun? Holds it up like this and waits for them to kill him. He literally has a gun that still has bullets in it, and he literally, as they break through the door and go to kill him, he goes like this, up.
Clearly, you've never taken gun safety, Dan, because you're not supposed to point the muzzle at anyone, okay? So when you see someone, you got to point it up. So that's what he was doing, gun training.
So at no point in this movie do we ever see one of the baby Godzillas get shot. Never.
That's true.
Fucking once.
That's true.
And why
That's
is that?
interesting.
Why is that?
I don't know. Because people don't want to see the babies get shot, Dan.
No, because
they just want to see them get exploded and burned to death.
Because that would have been expensive. More expensive.
Yeah.
Let's talk about special effects. Worst ever.
Yeah, well, listen, I feel like worst ever might be extreme.
Worst ever for a big budget movie.
Okay, then I agree with you. If we're doing it budgetarily, yeah, they're the worst of all time.
I can only imagine what this looked like on a big screen. It
had to have been bad. I don't remember any of this. Obviously, this was 30 years ago or whatever. But woof, it's ugly. It is ugly,
and they're all exactly the same. It's just like we did one design for a CGI dinosaur. That's it. We're not doing anything else.
Well, those are expensive, and if you just mirror them and make them look different directions, it's fine.
So now they get up to then the stupid girl and animal, they connect all up because they fall out of a vent because somehow they ended up in a vent, which I don't think we ever saw them go into a vent.
It's a giant vent. When it falls down, it's huge. They have so much room to move around up there. It's crazy.
And it's perfectly so it goes all the way down to the ground. So it's very safe for them to get out of the vent. So they go and they get to the broadcast center at Madison Square Gardens where they do the games. They call a guy at the station. They're like, put us on live. And then we have the most low-key interview.
It's very casual.
I'm here at Madison Square Garden. Hey, look, there's some dinosaurs. Isn't that great?
We are surrounded by things that want to eat us. But I've got a friend that wants to talk to you guys. Hey, Nick, come on over. Come on up here.
Hey, I'm a scientist. If something doesn't happen to these dinosaurs, they're going to kill everyone. But, we're just having some brunch here. It's kind of nice.
Out. Take your time. Everything's fine. Please blow us up.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
So fucking weird.
It's bizarre.
And you're like, oh, and so they're able to call in the strike, but they're like, you have 6 minutes to leave. But it's kind of nice because they figured out how to make her use her weakness, her inability to be a newscaster into her strength, which I thought was, it's kind of like Team America, where it's like we're actors. They figure out how to use acting to as an important skill. They use newscasting as an important skill. And you're like, okay, that's really stupid, but it's
really stupid, and she's really bad at it.
She's really bad at it.
That's why she's not on air, guys.
So they're in the room. Boom! Dinosaurs crash through every window all at once, coordinated from every direction, and then Jean Reno throws like a cable out there that they can rappel down to escape from the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And then he goes down, and that stupid girl's like, or maybe Animal says, "Where did you find this guy?" And Nico says, "He's from France."
He's from France.
I love that.
Great one-liner.
Such a good line.
But here's what's important about this scene, Dan, is that the dinosaurs all break in at the same time and then immediately stop. Once they're through, they're like, well, I guess we're good now because we're in the room. So let's all just stop and hang out for a second.
One of them picks up the microphone.
Hello.
Baby Godzilla 1 right here. Am I on the air? How are you doing?
Coming in live from Madison Square Garden. It's so weird because there's a lot of standing around as Gene Reno jumps out the window. He's like, anyone else coming? And they don't yet. They all just stand around as all of these creatures are in the room. Super weird.
But all you have to do to these dinosaurs is go like this. Oop, I avoided you. Oop, I avoided you. Oop, I avoided you. So then they go down to the floor, and then there's these 3 chandeliers, and then Jean Reno shoots the chandeliers, and they come crashing down, and then the dinosaurs back away, and then we're able to walk.
But then they stay back. What's weird? I agree that they would be scared of the chandelier and they would scatter as soon as it hits the floor. But we're not running as it hits the floor. It hits the floor, and then we run, because otherwise it would be dangerous for us. And why aren't they attacking then? There's nothing else falling, Dan.
I don't know.
They've got, like, these chandeliers give them about 45 seconds to a minute of free reign. Doesn't make any sense.
So they get out. The place blows up. The fighter pilots blow it up. Yep. And, the whole thing blows up. And then they're, like, just sort of there. And no shrapnel, no nothing. Totally fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Huge swelling music. Are you all right? We do a big kiss. And then we know what's coming next. Godzilla's going to not be dead and going to be mad at them for killing all of his babies. I don't know.
Killing 200 of his babies. Yeah, he's going to be pretty upset.
How does he know that they killed his babies?
Well, because he knows. Because they were alive last time he saw them, Dan. And now they're not alive. And then we get a great shot of one of the dead babies and him, like, nuzzling it to try to see if it's going to be alive, which is unnecessarily depressing. If you want me to think that Godzilla's the bad guy of this movie, why are you making him the victim?
He should just
doesn't make any sense.
He should stomp on his dead babies to prove.
Great, because he's like, I don't give a shit, I'm a bad guy.
I think the writer of the film said later that he wished they'd actually taken a stance on Godzilla, either being the good guy or the bad guy, because
you have to. He's somewhere in the middle right now.
He's just completely he's in a different character in your movie, and you're like, we don't care. We actually feel a little bad if you're going to kill him,
but also not enough because he's also kind of dumb. It's just like he's nothing. He's a nothing entity. But my favorite part is that then after he nuzzles and he's like growls, we cut to Matthew Broderick, who gets a nice cheeky response. He's like, oh, he looks mad.
No, he looks
really, guys?
He looks angry.
He looks angry. Really? We're going to just like trivialize his pain. He's just lost 200 children. Of course he's going to be mad. You are a biologist. You should feel something. Here's my problem with the whole movie is that somebody has to be on Godzilla's side a little bit. Somebody has to realize he's just a creature doing its thing. He's not even destroying most of the things. He's just trying to protect his babies, right? But no one's on his side, and nobody seems to care that it's an animal. It's very strange.
Yeah. So they get in a cab, and they're going to drive away from it. And we do like a whole bit where they're New Yorkers arguing about which street to take, as if that's an argument based on traffic.
Correct. Right? That is correct.
There is no traffic.
Yep. So you just make a straight line. You just go where you want to go, because the whole all of the bits about people directing the taxi is because, like, oh, the 3rd Street Bridge will be faster at this time of day. Oh, I think I know my way. I'm going to take the 7th Avenue. Like that. It's ridiculous. Idiots.
Boom, boom, boom. And then they're cruising along, and they pass the military guys, your guy O'Neill. And then Nico's great idea is, I'll take the piece of the taxi, I'll throw it to O'Neill, like how he knows that's O'Neill right there. Then O'Neill's going to pick up the signal.
Yep.
O'Neill picks up the thing. It's like, oh, this is the cab they're in. He goes and he has the knowledge of where to go to find the radio to call this one particular cab.
Here's what I'll tell you. This is the one thing I believe, because I don't think he's a military man. If anything, he probably is the dispatch driver. He's the dispatch guy at the taxi thing. He just fell into this whole thing because he didn't want to evacuate.
Well, maybe he's National Guard. So they called him up.
Well, first of all, that's the first thing you've said today that makes any sense. But I don't know if I buy
it. Yes. So they go into this tunnel, and then the creature that can burrow anywhere, anytime, is not able to get them out of the tunnel.
No, just reaches his claw in. Hey, come here. Very stupid, guys. All he does is create new tunnels this whole time, which we got to talk about a little bit, because at what point does the tunnel just collapse? Because he is damaging the structural all the time.
Okay, we're going to talk about The Great Escape.
Oh, okay, great.
Did you ever see that movie?
I have not seen it, but I own it on Blu-ray. Because it's at some point I was like, God, this is a movie I should probably see at some point.
So they're always trying to escape. And so at one point, what they do is they come up with the idea is what they're going to do is they're going to burrow out. It's going to be two guys. The one guy will go like this. The other guy will then pack it behind them. So they just, once they make their little amount of openness,
oh, interesting.
They go like this because it's very soft ground. And then they just put a pipe up there to breathe. So they're like, so,
Great.
So that's probably what would happen if Godzilla was burrowing through open earth, is the open earth would, just go back behind him. But he would,
that checks out.
He would make short work of this tunnel and would kill them instantly.
Yeah.
Because you set up these rules in your stupid movie. We didn't set up these rules. You set them up. If you're going to set up rules, you kind of have to play by them.
Yes. If you make the rule, you have to follow it. Because I don't know anything about Godzilla, but are there other Godzilla movies where he's a burrower? Where he's a tunneler? No. Exactly. So this is something you created, and then your solution to the movie is to make him not be able to do the thing that you made him do in the beginning. That doesn't make any sense, guys.
Break his arm. And he's got a broken arm. Can't tunnel anymore.
Now I can't tunnel. I can't do it. Look at this, just flaps.
Ties it up in a sling. And then they do the great ideas. Well, they turned off the headlights because maybe in the dark he's not going to be able to dark them. And then they're all like, does this car have high beams? Of course it does. Fire up the high beams. And Godzilla, they turn on high beams. Yep. As if Godzilla, whose eyes are this big, would be affected by little.
So big.
This is like an LED, like blinding me. It's like, no.
Oh, okay. Why is that there?
So they're like, use the headlights to distract. They go to the Brooklyn Bridge. He's like, going down the Brooklyn Bridge. And what does he do, Tony? He gets him in his mouth.
Yeah. That's it. Game over. Movie's over.
But you can't bite down on them
because of the taxi? Because it's such a sturdy taxi. It's the best built taxi in the world. Doesn't make any sense.
Something happens and they're able to drive out of his mouth.
Well, what happens is he somehow electrocutes his teeth or something.
There's a live wire hanging down, which Matthew Broderick reaches out with
grabs with his bare hand,
sticks it in Godzilla's tooth, gives Godzilla a toothache. Godzilla's like,
I gotta go to the dentist.
They drive out. Godzilla gets caught in all the cables, which Matthew Broderick's like, look at him, he's caught in the cables.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen it.
And then they, I don't know if it's the F-18s come back and they just shoot him and kill him. Easily.
Yep.
Easily they just fly up and kill him.
100%. It doesn't even take, it's what, six missiles at the most?
If this was really the case, then they would have had F-18s in the air 24/7 and they would have just destroyed him within seconds of anyone spotted him.
100%.
As we said in Aliens, why don't we just nuke him from space?
Yep.
That's what you can do. You could just nuke him from space.
It's very strange. It doesn't make any sense.
So many weapons available to him. And if the thing is just an animal, there's nothing special. Because, if Godzilla's like this atomic creature and you can't blow him up.
Right. Because maybe if it even feeds him, who knows?
Those are things you do in a real Godzilla. This movie, just like, I just shoot him with one missile and he just dies. You're like,
it's just a paper cut. You just got to paper cut him and then he dies. But here's the most baffling part of this movie to me, Dan, is what follows. Again, swelling music, sweeping music. We're looking at Matthew Broderick, who goes forward away from everybody else and is just staring at Godzilla as it dies.
Wait, you missed the one part. Godzilla's head comes crashing down, destroying the taxi. Yes, and one wheel goes bouncy, 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 which I believe is the second bouncy wheel in the movie.
I
think they did another one earlier in the scene with the truck.
They probably shot that one. They're like, wow, that's a cool effect. We need to use that. Write that down. We're going to use it again later.
Do it again. Okay, so he's dying. Godzilla's dying. Matthew Broderick walks up there, which you're never supposed to do.
Walks up and then just stares at him. And I can't read his face. I don't know if Matthew Broderick is happy or sad, confused, constipated. I don't know what his look is, but he's just kind of staring at him. And there's this big sweeping score. And I don't know what I'm supposed to feel because I don't know what anybody feels in this movie. Are we happy he's dead? Are we sad? I don't know what's going on.
I think he's processing that time that he was on the road and he vehicularly manslaughtered somebody. Maybe that's what he's thinking about.
Matthew, we can't read your face. Can you just think about the time you murdered someone in this next scene? All right, and roll cameras.
Allegedly.
Sorry, allegedly murdered someone. Roll cameras. Thank you. Jesus,
actually, I take it back. There was one part I liked in this last part. We hear his giant beating heart as he dies.
Oh yeah,
it was really that should have been a maybe not sweet moment, but it should have been a really melancholy moment.
It should have been an affecting moment, right? Like I should have felt something, but I was just confused because I don't know what Matthew Broderick's feeling because he is also hearing the heart. This should be sad. The guy who should care about this creature, he should have been the guy that been like, well, it's an animal. We need to protect it if we can. Let's lead it away from the city. Let's do different things. I don't know. He should feel something right now.
And we go back to the original King Kong movie. I was thinking of this line. What is the original King Kong movie when King Kong's dying?
No.
The guy who brought King Kong there, the guy that exhibited him, kind of, caused all this. He says, "'Twas beauty killed the beast." And I was like, Matthew should have said, this is, there needed to be a line there that
something
told us who this character was. But there was no line because we don't know who this character is.
No characters take stances. Nobody has an opinion.
Animal had an opinion.
That's true. But that's because Hank Azaria probably did it himself because he's a great actor and I love that man.
He's great. Then Hiroshima comes over and then I think she quits the job. Probably to work for a rival, I guess.
Yeah, she quits his job and then of course, because she can get any job she wants now. She's got an exclusive.
You want to talk about the mayor's campaign guy quitting on him right there at the end too?
I don't understand it, Dan. Why? Why did he quit? I don't even understand why he's upset, to be honest with you.
It was so weird.
I got nothing.
The mayor and this guy had like 3 scenes in the movie, and then we have to see him. This dude quit from him. If the mayor had been berating him the whole time, or
something, or is even doing the wrong thing. The mayor's just like, well, I'm going to politically capital on the situation, which is what you would do in politics. It's very strange.
And then, Felipe, which is John Reno's character. They use his name right there at the end. And I'm
there you go. You're right.
That was the only time I remember them saying his name in this movie, Felipe. He has stolen Hank Azaria's tape, and then he's going to edit out the parts where you could see Felipe.
Probably. I don't know. He's Secret Service. All right. You don't know.
I returned it later with redactions. And then, of course, we get the one shot of the egg that survived because nobody was going to go in there and look around for an egg.
Well, it's a contaminated zone right now, I got nothing. You would go in there with flamethrowers, and you're like, we got to we got to nuke this whole place, get it clean.
We all know what they would do. They'd be getting samples of all those things and then bringing them back to life in labs.
Oh, and someone would just take that egg. They'd be like, okay, we got to preserve this and try to make it our weapon.
Jesus, so stupid.
Did you see the cartoon ever? The animated series that was based on this movie?
That was based? Are you sure it was based on this movie? It wasn't the 90s?
It's like a sequel. Yeah, it's 90s. It came out right after the show. And that egg, Matthew Broderick, if I'm remembering this correctly, I've not seen it in years and years.
What are you? Wait, hold on. You're saying there's a cartoon series that has the Matthew Broderick character as a character?
Yes, and he's played by Ian Zierling. Is that his name? From 90210.
Oh, okay. Ian.
He's played by that guy. That's all I remember. And I'm pretty sure the show is Matthew Broderick's character befriends the dinosaur in that egg, and they fight monsters together. I'm pretty sure that's what the basis of that show is.
Better premise than the premise of this movie.
100%. No, I remember liking the show. I should look for it.
Wow, I did not know that.
I'll update you next week. I'll try to watch the whole thing on the plane on Tuesday.
Try to do that, Tony. If you
I'll try to do it for you.
So yeah, this movie, I think what really made it terrible was it trying to be a Spielberg movie and trying to have like this weird romance in there and trying to have characters that are Spielbergian.
Well, the problem, you can't have a romance when neither character has a personality. Like, I just don't care about either of them. They're both stupid. They do nothing, and I don't think that they should be together.
And he did seem like 10 years older than her.
Oh, at least, yeah, for sure.
Maybe he was her professor in school.
Oh, see now we got some backstory. It's zesty. Ooh.
So yeah, this movie was just terrible, and
it's bad. It's a bad movie. Yeah. You can't win them all. And Roland Emmerich has had some misses. He has had some misses, but he's had some hits.
So Tony, why don't you give us a movie to watch for next week as we cruise into the new year?
Every time. Oh wait, are we not talking about things we liked?
Oh yeah, you're right. Things with Tony, give us something you like.
Dan takes 1 week off. He doesn't remember how to run his own show anymore.
Lost our own whole format. No, this is the new format, Tony. We're gonna do
you know what?
movie,
you're right.
It's
2023. We could have done anything you wanted to do. I'm sorry I questioned you. It's not my show.
Somebody on Twitter was like, things are going to be different in 2024. And I'm like, that's like a year from now.
That's
jumping the gun.
You're probably right, person, because that's 2 years away, guy.
Okay,
things
Tony,
will be different.
What do you got for us that's good in the world?
All right. Do we watch, first of all, as with every Roland Emmerich movie, I'm just going to once again shout out White House Down. Go watch that. You're going to love it.
And then after you're done with that, go watch the other one.
Olympus Has Fallen. Don't watch that show. Don't watch that movie. It's no good.
Gerard Butler kicking some butt.
Gerard Butler. There's a new Gerard Butler trailer that came out there where he's kicking butt, and I really want to see it. And I'll have to look it up because we'll probably watch it for this podcast.
Oh, God.
But regardless, what we watched, we finally saw The Glass Onion.
Yeah.
A Knives Out story. I had a blast, man. What a treat. Daniel Craig in this role. It just slays me. I love it. I want to see. I hope they make more. That's all I'm going to say. I hope they make more. It's great. The acting's great. Story's fun.
I think he's on contract for 2 more.
What a treat.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because Netflix bought him out basically after the first one. Because Netflix didn't have the first one. Then they bought him out for, I think, 2 or 3 more.
Okay. Good. That's good news because I loved it.
That was my pick also. I adored it beyond comprehension.
It's just so fun.
Went back and watched Knives Out. Still don't care for it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. I mean, they are very different. They're not very different, but tonally, I feel like this is a bit more, it's a bit cheekier.
It was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
The characters just felt like more character-y. They had more to do. I look back at Knives Out and all those characters are like, they're very particular, but they don't really have anything, to do with that particular, it's like, we don't learn their back. This one, we just learned so much backstory on every character, I felt like.
Yeah.
And we really got to live in, except for Leslie Odom's character, who we needed a little more of. He needed one more thing to do.
Leslie Odom, that's who that is. Yep.
Yeah,
great.
He was great.
Great stuff.
But
I think everyone was great in that movie. I'm not a Kate Hudson fan.
She was amazing.
But she was amazing. Fucking killed it, dude. Unbelievable.
I mean, they're comedic performances that I think are Oscar-winning comedic performances because they're
for sure.
They're so well drawn. Her character is real. I feel like she exists in, maybe not in our universe entirely, but in a comedic universe, that character is real.
Yeah. She gave me the loudest LOL that I've had in a while. And I don't want to give away the bit, but she's trying to get something, Alexa to Shazam something.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see the bit coming, and I laughed like really loud. Yeah. It was great.
She's just
it's super fun movie.
Yeah. So Yes, I'm ready for more.
I liked Knives Out.
Yeah.
I liked this one better, but I liked Knives Out as well. I think they're great. I can't wait for more.
Yeah, it's great. And I watched Your Violent Night. Wow.
And
what a movie.
Right?
What a winner. I mean,
what a treat.
Just a treat of a movie. Oh,
yeah.
And the last thing is there's a movie called Troll, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's the same movie as Godzilla, but it's done the way you're supposed to do it.
Interesting.
So
Troll.
Everybody
okay.
watch that movie. It's like it's like foreign movie, so it's in foreign words, Tony. But
all right, I'm out, Dan. You can't tell me that.
It's really good, and
okay.
The creature does disappear, and there's a reason why it can disappear.
Wow, look at that! A reason for it to do something. I am blown away.
For there to be footprints at a certain point, and then the footprints stop. There's like they address all of those kind of things. They address the second act failure. They address all of those kind of things, and you're just like, thank you.
You made a movie. Great job, guys. Great job.
You did what you were supposed to do, which is make a fucking movie. So what do you got for us, Tony? Let's give us a movie to watch next week.
So I was like, you know what? We're starting the year. We better start it strong.
Hold on. I've got to stop you right there.
Unbelievable.
Here's what we're gonna do for the new year. We're gonna cap the movies at 2 hours. If a movie's over 2 hours, we're just gonna watch to the 2 hour mark.
Well, we'll get to test this theory out right away then, Dan.
Oh, my other thought was what we could do is you'd watch the movie until you couldn't watch it anymore, and then that's as far as each of us would have to review the movie.
I mean, there are some movies that we would only talk about for about 6 minutes.
Okay, we're not going to do either of those things, but they were thoughts I had for progressing the show.
I love it because you always got to be innovating and, mixing up the formula. I get it. You just let me know what you want to do.
But we're not going to do that. What do you got, Tony?
Well, since, again, I want to kick it off strong, so I'm going to go with the most bankable star on the planet.
Tom Cruise?
Who's that?
Tom Cruise.
You're right. No, is he? After Top Gun.
Maverick. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I am stunned at how many people have that on their top 10 lists of the... I mean, not that I haven't seen it.
It's on mine.
And
it's absolutely on mine.
I just felt that there'd be more pushback on it being a Top Gun movie.
Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
You should see it. Then,
yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy it. It sounds like it's great.
It's on my Vudu. You can watch it anytime you want.
Oh, it is? I didn't see it on there.
Oh, it's on there. All right. I've already seen it twice.
Okay, so Top Gun, doing a Tom Cruise movie.
Not Tom Cruise. So I guess maybe the second most bankable star.
Will Smith.
Go. Okay.
Mel Gibson.
Of 2022.
Gerard Butler.
I just watched a Mel Gibson feature just a few days ago. I really liked it.
Russell Crowe.
Oh, no.
Doris Day.
Doris Day is.
Doris Day. I believe is still alive. She was the number one movie star at her peak.
In her heyday. I love that.
Doris Day.
I love it.
Bradley Cooper.
If he was making movies, we would do one. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know what he's doing.
Star is Born.
We are going. I just wanted to take one more look at you. It gets me every time. I cry right away.
I didn't finish it. I started it. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
What do you mean you didn't finish it, Dan?
I got to the part where they met in the bar, and I was like, "Oh, this is good."
Don't finish it, Dan. Don't finish it. It does not get. It's a sad movie.
Oh yeah, no. Star is Born is one of the most depressing films of all time.
It's so sad, and when you watch it only part the way, then you don't have to deal with the sad part. That's brilliant.
Okay, what do you got for us, Tony?
We are going with Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Oh
God. The Rock Johnson.
We're going superhero?
We're going superhero. We're going brand new. We're going the Superman killer. We're going Black Adam.
Have you seen this movie?
I have not seen this movie.
Okay.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this because I knew as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, "We're gonna watch it when it comes out. We're definitely gonna do it."
And this is gonna be an interesting one because I have no idea where I'm gonna stand. It's like I don't know.
Either do I, but I have a feeling I'm not gonna like it.
I have the feeling.
However,
yeah,
I don't know.
I have the feeling I'm gonna like what's his name. I think what's his name is Dr. Fate's gonna be great.
Who is Dr. Fate? I don't know if I'm paying enough attention.
In Eurovision, he played his dad, the dad.
Pierce Brosnan.
plays Dr. Fate.
I do like Pierce Brosnan.
He looks great. Looks really good.
Have you seen the Thomas Crown Affair? This is unrelated. The Thomas Crown Affair is one of my favorite Pierce Brosnan movies of all time.
Interesting.
I love it. Also, Renee Rousseau is smoking hot in it. Anyhow, so we're going Black Adam.
Black Adam. Super.
Yeah.
And they're letting what's his name take over the whole DC universe. That's going to be terrible.
I can't. We'll have to talk a little bit about James Gunn and his silliness that's happening right now.
Oh wow! Yeah, make more Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas specials and have people.
Did you watch the Christmas special?
It was so terrible.
Why?
I had to turn it off. I turned it off.
How far did you get? Did you get to?
I got to the song. And I turned it off. The song was so terrible. Right. I just was like, it looked like it was being shot at a theme park. It looked like.
It kind of was because they just shot it in between scenes of the movie, apparently. Like they would just go and shoot during like lunch hour, from my understanding.
But what did they use? But then they didn't process the film to make it look like it was a film? Like
I don't think they. I don't think. Again, I don't know. I'm assuming they didn't shoot it on film. I'm probably not iPhone, but probably like a digital camera. You know, it's probably just. It's definitely not cinema quality.
It looked like garbage, is what I will say. I was just like, "What is this?" That Groot looked like it looked like an appearance suit at a theme park.
I'm Groot.
Like, what the fuck is this?
You're so angry, Dan. I love this.
It was amateurish.
I think that's part of the charm of it. I don't know.
And you really think he's going to be able to take over the DC universe?
Oh, no. See, I don't. That's what I was like, we should talk about, because I am not looking forward to the gun era, the DC guns. I'm not into it.
That's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a hilarious disaster. Sir.
I'm going to watch every single one of these movies, but I'm going to be mad every time. I'm pretty sure.
Zack Snyder stands fighting with everyone else. It's going to be fucking hilarious. So stupid.
I mean, DC is just, they can't make a good decision. They're incapable of making good decisions, and I love it. I'm having a real fun time.
Okay. So we're going to the universe of Black Adam.
That's right.
You know what's so funny is they've got Shazam, which, did you watch that Shazam trailer for the new one?
No.
Looks so good.
I'm excited, though.
It looks so good. I'm like, this is the movie I want to see. That Shazam movie's like, here, we're just going to make a good movie. Oh, look, a good movie. It's great.
Yeah, what a weird choice in 2021 to make just like a decent movie. 20, what year is it?
2024.
No, that one's not right either.
2224.
The year 2224.
Okay, well, we'll be back next week with our review of Black Adam,
which may or may not be shorter than this one, because this is a long one, I think.
Yeah, this was a long one. So leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're so interested, and we'll be back next week to give you some more opiniones.
Happy New Year, everybody. Goodbye. See you next time.
Hey, watch him!